Phil, I often hear business owners and principals say, well, I haven't got time to mentor because it takes me away from my time on the tools, etc. So tell me how you've dealt with that one.
I get it. You don't have time to do it. You're trying to make money for the business, but you got to think from a longer term perspective. You don't have time not to do it, because if all you've got time to do is see patients, there's something wrong with your business model. If you don't give them that training, they're going to underperform and they're not going to be able to provide the business what it needs anyway to solve the problem. So sometimes you got to slow down so you can speed up. You got to count the costs. You got to be efficient about it. You can't give them days and days on end. You do have to invest in them so you get the best out of them later. I get it. Every hour that I'm not billing revenue for the business, it hurts. But you got to think of it as an investment in this clinicians.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Optimised Practice Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Fitzpatrick, coming to you from Bundjalung country in the east coast of Australia. And today I'm with my good friend, Phil Marshman from Pioneer Podiatry in Far North Queensland in Mackay. Welcome, Phil.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, how are you?
I've had a great weekend and ready to do a little bit of connecting with you this morning and a bit of a chat about you and your business and your journey. So let's get going, mate. Tell us a little bit about your business, Phil, if you don't mind. Like, when did you start it and where is it? What sort of team members have you got? What sort of a specialisation do you have? All those sorts of things. Just a little summary of Pioneer Podiatry.
Yeah, sure. So I started in 2010. So that was about 15 years ago now that I had an entrepreneurial seizure, decided I should start my own business, and I thought I could do it better than anyone else, which I've proven that to be occasionally true, but I've had the same problems everyone else has, I reckon. So we're up in Mackay in regional Queensland. So we're 1,000 kilometres north of Brisbane, so a long way up here. And look, we're a team that's fluctuated over size, but generally been between 3 to 5 clinicians, so 3 to 5 podiatrists, plus team that support us to, predominantly help people with foot pain. That's our main focus. Is if you got a sore foot, we can fix you.
Gotcha. Yep, good. And been in business for 15 years, and so that must tell us it's something going right for you, because most businesses fail in the first couple of years. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Oh, look, yes, I think we've worked out a couple of things, and there's some important things that I think have helped us to survive this long and thrive the most of that time.
Great. Well, you live in a regional town, and often I hear from small business owners that say things like, oh, it's not the same when you live in the country, or I'm in remote and rural places and it's too hard, so we can't build our businesses the way we want to. So, what is the best part about being in that rural setting and also, servicing a small community like you have in Mackay?
Well, being in a regional area it's challenging in certain ways, but the benefits of it are smaller communities are definitely, you get to know your community a lot better. It's hard for me to go to town and not run into someone that I know, which is great fun. And you get a more personal sort of sense of place when you're living in a smaller place. And I've lived in large cities, and I love coming back home. We actually live in Serena, which is an even smaller town than the larger regional centre of Mackay. And yeah, it's very, very enjoyable being part of a community like that. And you do end up helping many generations of people in your practice. You see grandma, daughter, granddaughter. So it's great. It's really enjoyable.
So, but what are some of the challenges of being in that rural setting? My guess is you're about 1,000 kilometres away from Brisbane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that come with that?
Well, recruiting trained staff is difficult because it's a long way to anywhere where the training is provided to podiatrists. So you've really got to talk people into moving here, or they're going to want to come here anyway, which, it's not everyone wants to move out of large capital cities. But that's okay. Like, that's been difficult, but not impossible, particularly with structuring our recruitment specifically for to make ourselves stand out and be an attractive option, I suppose, for people to work here.
Yeah, and we'll touch on recruitment in a little bit, but there are, over the 10 years or so that I've known you, Phil, there've been several elements of your business that I've observed. Can we talk about some of those today? Yeah. And one of them, even this morning, as I sit in bed having my cup of tea and scrolling through social media, Pioneer Podiatry pops up. So you do a lot of work on social media. Tell me why you do that, and is it worth it?
It is, but you got to have a plan to it. So marketing is something that I'm very interested in, and it's because I love being able to communicate the story of what we do. And it's the best way that I know of how to communicate is face-to-face like this. I can communicate someone face-to-face. So we produce a lot of video. We just do a lot online, which, if you have the courage to do it, you can really communicate with people. And it's been a big part of our success as a business, is being able to really communicate what we do.
But when you say we do a lot online, is it just Phil Marshman does that online, or is it someone else as well?
I have my part that I do, but our whole team, I mean, we got a TikTok, and I don't even know what's on the TikTok page. Now, it's silly, and if you look at it, you go, okay, cool. But I'm too old, man. I don't actually understand TikTok. I don't understand how to communicate on TikTok. But I know that the new graduates that are coming out have seen our TikTok page, and I think that's a cool place to work because they do silly TikToks. So I don't get it. I do the educational stuff. I'll talk online, and I'll do a lot to Facebook. That's how old I am. I still use Facebook. So I do videos to Facebook that communicate to our local community stuff that we do, ways we can help. But it's definitely a team effort. It's not just me doing it all, which is good for us.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you give your team a mandate to go and market the business from their point of view, rather than you being in control of everything that comes in and out of there. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Lainey is our one of our team members, and she has no actual official training in marketing or creating online content, but she's a digital native, and that's what they actually spend all their spare time doing, is looking at Instagram and producing content for these things. So there's no way I'm going to get in the road and tell them what to do. I get out of the road and say, well, yeah, you do that. I'll give you bits of content, put it out where you think it should go. But we got a team that loves doing it. So
they don't mind doing it. They don't say, no, that's not my job.
Well, we paid her an extra $5,000 a year to do it, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. It's not like, just do this in your spare time. And she spends about half a day a week away from her other role, just focusing on that. But a lot of social media is just create the content, put it in a schedule, and just leave it there, and it'll just deliver as it needs to.
So Phil, does it make commercial sense, or is it just fun to do?
It definitely makes commercial sense, but I don't want people thinking I put 5 posts on Facebook, I'm not getting any ads, I'm not getting any bookings. Look, that's not how it works. It's a commitment to communicating with your community. If you're not willing to make a long-term commitment to telling your community what you can do, why should they trust you? So it definitely makes sense, but you've got to do it. You've got to be in it for the long haul. It's like creating a friendship or a relationship with somebody. You can't just walk up to them and say, "Oh, give me your money, I'll fix this thing for you." You've got to build that trust, and that's probably how we think about it. Yeah.
Oh, great, good. So there's some lessons for everybody out there around making sure that the work that you do on social media, you've got the right context, and for you, it's about building community and letting people know your story of how you can help them. Yeah. Let's go now to recruitment and retention, because I know you've been fairly creative in this space as well. So how do you find people, practitioners and team members to come and work for you? How are they attracted to your business?
Look, in 15 years, it's changed. It was hard to start with, and it's only got harder. And we're all fishing. We're all put our fishing rods in the same little pool. We're all trying to get people to come and work for us. All the businesses around Australia. You won't find a single business that's not struggling. So I just want to say that to start with. It's very hard for everyone. What I've tried to do and been marginally successful with is creating a new graduate program. So that's essentially a system that we put new graduates through. And a lot of new graduates are looking for structured mentorship. And I love providing mentorship. I love teaching very early career podiatrists. That's where I have a special skill and gift to do that, I think. So that's something that has worked for us. And we've probably had 10 or 11 new graduates over that period of 15 years that have come and done our 2-year internship. So that's been the specific point of difference that we've tried to provide. And it's worked quite well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, if I could say, how long do those new grads stay with you before they move on to the next stage of their career? And are you okay when they go?
We have to be okay when they go, right? Because if you want them to stay forever, that's not going to happen. So you'll be disappointed. So that's why we have a 2-year program. I can basically get the return on the investment. If they stay for 2 years, it can be worth both the time that I don't spend seeing patients and also the time that they spend not creating revenue for the business during the first 6 months. So 2 years is fine and they can leave, but I've had some now that have stayed for 5-6 years. Our longest serving podiatrist is now in our 6th year with us, which is great. But there is a little bit of a revolving door. People move here, do the internship, and then they go home, which is where all their family and friends are. So that's okay.
Yeah. And when you're doing your mentoring and coaching, is it formalized and structured, or is it just ad hoc? Tell me how what's a typical mentoring session look like?
Well, this is where I get very serious, Brian. Mentoring does not happen ad hoc. It is by definition a system and a process that you want them to follow and that you're putting them through. So anyone who offers a mentoring program that just happens at lunchtime or in the gaps, it's not really a mentoring program. You got to have a process that you're wanting to put people through. These students have come from university. They've been given all this information. They have no idea how to arrange it and order it. And that is what our internship does, is it basically creates a structure to get that information and help them apply it to certain things. So it is very structured, particularly at the start, and it becomes less structured as it goes on. It's just creating space for them to get the help they need at the phases that they need it. We use the situational coaching model, so it's a progressive model that changes as the needs change of that intern.
Yeah. And we'll just take a moment there. Anybody that's not au fait with the situational coaching model, to jump on and look at Hershey and Blanchard's model, and it'll give you a really good indication of how you might treat, mentor your new grads. But Phil, I often hear business owners and principals say, well, I haven't got time to mentor because it takes me away from my time on the tools, etc. So tell me how you've dealt with that one.
Yeah, well, I get it. You don't have time to do it because you're trying to make money for the business. But you got to think from a longer term perspective. You don't have time not to do it, because if all you've got time to do is see patients, there's something wrong with your business model. And if you don't give them that training, they're going to underperform, and they're not going to be able to provide the business what it needs anyway to solve the problem. So sometimes you got to slow down so you can speed up. And you got to count the costs. You got to be efficient about it. You can't give them days and days on end, but you do have to invest in them so you get the best out of them later. And I get it. Every hour that I'm not billing revenue for the business, it hurts, but you got to think of it as an investment in this clinician. So
Great, good. And there's been a lot of talk and dialogue about allied health assistants, and what role that they can bring and what value they can bring to the business. Can you just explain the whole allied health assistance, discussion, please, and how you use yours?
We need to look to our colleagues in other disciplines and professions. And I don't just mean in healthcare, I mean in any profession. If you're an electrician and you don't have a TA running wires for you, you're not going to make any money either, and you're just not going to run a successful business. So podiatry is not unique. It's a profession where we have highly skilled degree professionals, but we find ourselves providing services that can be done by someone who only got a Cert 3 or a Cert 4 of allied health assistant qualification, which can be done in a 6 to 12 month period. So what we do is we make sure our podiatrists are only doing what they can do. And mostly that's diagnosing, communicating with patients, and developing treatment plans. And we try to get our podiatry assistants delivering as much of the actual treatment as possible. Now, whether that's low risk foot care, so cutting toenails, absolutely. I don't cut the toenails anymore, and I haven't for years. We will get involved in higher complexity cases, but we really don't spend our days doing that. And even delivering treatments, shockwave, laser, these sort of treatments that are point and shoot, and the treatment can be done. So I'm using podiatry assistants a lot for that. Sometimes podiatry assistants are involved in generating revenue on their own with low risk nail care. But a lot of the time it's actually just making the podiatrist more efficient by removing tasks out of their diary that's really not necessary for them to do. So it's kind of a double benefit there. Yeah.
For sure, and I think, that there are plenty of examples in other professions as well, where paraplanners do financial planning for the financial advisors, where, paralegals do the work for the lawyer and all those sorts of things so that they can do the high-end stuff, which is of greatest value. Another one that I notice about you, and it often intrigues me, is working with your spouse, your life partner, the amazing Alexis.
Yeah.
How does that go? 'Cause, how do you make sure that you don't? Well, one of the phrases we use is we don't take the boardroom table and the kitchen table and get them mixed up. So how do you work with your partner?
Well, I just do everything she wants and we get on fine. That's joking. That's not true. I think it's about spheres of control and who's in charge of what. It's quite unique in the last couple of years because Alexis actually come into the business. She's not just involved in thinking about the business. She's in the clinic now. She started doing referral relationships, like a marketing role. And then we had a need for actual hands-on work by assistants. We just didn't have enough assistants. And she said, well, I'll do the training. I'll get involved. Now she's on the tools and we get to see each other every day. I'm helping her all the time in the clinic. And it's about working out who's boss. And at work, I'm boss. So everyone gets on fine. But I'm a good boss. I'm kind and caring and I communicate well, Brian. You'd know that about me.
Well, yeah, well coached and trained, I'd say. And one of the other things I've noticed about you, Phil, and both you and Alexis, is how you maintain that really healthy life balance. So are you working 5-6 days a week now or what? And what are you doing? What's your third place away from, business and things like that?
Well, 4 days a week is the limit that I've ever worked. And I'm currently doing that at the moment because we do need a couple more podiatrists, but 4 days a week on the tools. And I really have nothing to do with the business outside of that because it's well managed by our on-site team and other shareholders that support that. But look, I've always been very intentional about that. I don't know if it's just millennial entitlement. I'm not sure, but I just always thought I'm not going to let my business take over my life. And because of that, I've had to focus on certain kinds of work that were profitable enough to allow that to happen. But I've had to have a really important why that was bigger than the business. This business has never been something that's either for myself or my wife been our sense of identity and purpose. It's been to serve us in a really meaningful way, which is to be really present with our children. For example, we've got 3 teenagers now and they're getting born as I started the business. So the business has given me the flexibility to be really present, and being present is a big part of being a good father. It's not everything, but you can't be a very good father if you're not present. So I think that's been the rule. It's 3, maybe 4 days a week to give me the time to spend time with my wife so that we still like each other and still want to be together. I mean that sincerely. Without spending that time together, you're going to grow apart and not have an interest in each other. So we still have that interest. And now that we're working together, we get to see each other all the time. You asked before about the boardroom. We try not to discuss anything about the business outside of the work. We don't always succeed at that, but we're particularly if it's a problem, we try not to talk about it outside of work, and that works quite well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. But, the world needs good dads, that's for sure. And I remember sitting on the Gold Coast talking to a very successful businessman who was crying in front of me saying, I just realized I missed my children's childhood. And, that's one of the saddest days I've had in my coaching career, I think, for that man to say I made a lot of money and I pretended I was doing it for my family, but I was really doing it from my ego, and how disappointed he was about that choice. Speaking of choices, what's the dumbest decision you've made in business, Phil?
No major catastrophes, which shocked me. Some of the dumbest mistakes I've made is hoping I could give people money to solve problems for me. Now, I mean that from the point of view of they approached me and said, particularly marketing. So the reason I love marketing is because when you understand your own things, you can market it well. But the biggest mistakes I've made is people have said, oh, here's a marketing package. Give us $10,000. We'll get you lots of leads. So they're the things that have hurt me the most. I've thought, oh, I thought they would just solve this problem for me. And yeah, wasted a lot of money and a lot of time on that sort of stuff.
You're coached by Troy Parsons. So how do you maximize your coaching from the Hive so that you get the most out of it for yourself and for your business?
I would say that the greatest benefit of that was earlier in the growth of the business, where I was coming up against problems that I hadn't had before, right? So it's great to have someone who, when you tell them what you think is a scary story, they can say, oh, yes, we know what to do with that. I've seen that in my own business. I've seen it in the other people I coach. It's just good knowing that there's someone who's trodden that path before. And Troy's always been very good at that. That sort of helping me understand what I think is terrifying, because it's the first time I've seen it. It's a common occurrence. Yeah.
Mm. You know, if you think that, Novak Djokovic has a coach, the coach doesn't hit the ball for Novak. Yeah. And so, really, if people think that coaching is going to come and fix their business for them, it won't. Yeah. You've still got to do the work, yes?
That is correct. All I can really do is give you paths you can follow, or give you ideas, or help you come up with it, because you're always much more inclined to follow through with the plan that you yourself have had to develop based on your own values and your own preferences. So,
and I think really good coaches, they're able to help us identify our blind spots, the things that we don't see in ourselves or we don't see in our team. Just a couple more questions before we finish off, Phil. What are your aspirations for Pioneer Podiatry and for the profession in general? Where do you want to see podiatry going? Where do you want to see Pioneer Podiatry going?
Well, for our own business, I found my sweet spot, and I'm only a partial owner now. I've got some other business owners who bought equity in, so I can focus on what I love to do, which is essentially my own professional career and my interest in mentoring and supporting a clinical team. So I have no aspirations to grow the business bigger, but I'm going to be part of the business, whatever journey it takes from here forward, just playing my role in it. I'd say for the profession in general, I think podiatry is quite a amazing and profound profession to be part of, because it's so specific. It has such a specific contribution it makes to people. And I am looking forward to continuing to be involved in that in the next couple of decades. I love providing ongoing education, and I'm just trying to do that more and more, just sharing the information that I have, my clinical skills, just the same way that I've used my interest in marketing our own business is now just capturing that information and sharing it in the profession. That's just a contribution that I can make all the way up here in Mackay in regional Queensland. Little videos and mentoring people. Yeah.
That if the world needs good fathers, it also needs good teachers. So one last golden nugget that your business journey has taught you, Phil. What's one piece that you would give a young business owner, a young piece of advice?
Business is, I liken it to a crucible. It heats you up and it cooks you. And whatever comes out of you in the business context, it's applicable to the rest of your life as well. And look, I don't know how deep and meaningful we want to get here, Brian, but I think for me, it's helped me learn things about myself, and it's given me hard opportunities to develop and learn in ways that I wouldn't have without the pressure of having a business. So specifically for me, it's that people pleasing nature that I've had. It's been very, very difficult as a business owner to run a business with that mentality. It's been very stressful, and I'm just learning, even as the years go by, I learn more and more the lesson that you can't be everyone's friend, particularly as a business owner or just in life. People aren't going to like you, and you can't make them like you. Sometimes you've got to make hard decisions and just trust that if you've made a good decision, people aren't going to like you. It's okay, but other people are, and you're going to be authentic to who you are and what you want and what you need. So I'm learning that more and more, Brian, that's to be more authentic about who I am and what I want.
There's a wonderful thought leader called Bruce Mao, M-A-O, and he has a thing called an unfinished manifesto for growth. And the first thing on his manifesto is allow life to change you. That sense that I'm here and I'm fixed and this is all I'm ever going to be. You know, we talk about mastery as that ability to change often. And even in, you know, my relationship with you over 10 years or so, Phil, I've seen a lot of change happen in you as you grow as a person. So thank you, Phil, for making a contribution to our community today. That's all for this episode of the Optimised Practice Podcast. If you enjoyed it, you know that you can find it on any of the platforms where you get your podcasts. You can find us on all of the social media things. And if you're looking for any advice and help around how you might build a business like Phil's, please give us a call at the Hive Practice. Thanks, everybody. See you next time. That's all for this episode of the Optimised Practice Podcast. Hope you've enjoyed the series and keep looking for it out on your usual platforms where you get your podcasts. Secondly, have a look around on social media and find us there. And thirdly, if you want to build your business somewhat like Susie's, then make sure that you get to contact us at the Hive and we'll help you build your business so that you don't have to work so hard and the business works for you. See you next time.